Okay, welcome everyone. Today we're going to talk about the hottest and most profitable flipping markets. Okay, um, before we get started, has anybody done a flip in the last 6 months? Jesse, I know you've been pretty active. Have you done anything lately, or your son, when it comes to flipping? You have three in the process. Whoa. Are you able to unmute yourself to tell us a little bit about your flips? Okay, so we'll just wait for you to perhaps get your sound on. Okay, anybody else aside from Jesse?
There you go. Can you hear me now, Hugo?
Oh, now we can hear you.
Good, good. How's it going?
Very good. Thank you, Jesse. So Jesse, thank you for volunteering. I know you've been in the business for quite some time. You're a very experienced investor. So can you please tell us about your flips and what is it that you're looking for when considering a flip versus a rental or a wholesale deal? And then if you
Yeah,
can please introduce yourself to the team, to the audience.
yeah, sure. How you doing? How's everyone doing? My name is Jesse Arenas. I am an investor. I've been with the DealVault people for quite some time. I know Hugo for a while. One of my very first deals that I had done was a wholesale that I wholesaled to him in Frida, which was a wonderful 3-unit building in Westchester. Um, it was a deal that I actually found through DealVault. Did some due diligence and built a lot of rapport with the homeowner at the time. It was vacant and distressed situation. She had multiple investors calling her and bidding on the property, but very important is building the rapport with the homeowners, develop that relationship, and that's exactly what I had done. It took a while, probably about maybe between 6 to 8 months, but although she had higher offers than mine, she ended up going with me only because we built that relationship. And at the time, it was my very first deal. It had a significant amount of rehab work that needed to be done on it. And it was something that I wasn't ready to take on. And immediately reached out to Hugo and Frida, and they responded very quickly. And it was something that they were interested in adding to their portfolio as soon as they did a walkthrough to it. And we closed in record time, in my opinion, and it was a sweet deal for everyone. Win-win for the homeowner, because she was able to get out of a situation where she was just 2 weeks away from getting foreclosed on this property. It was going to auction, and I had wholesaled it over to Hugo, and they actually retook it, rehabbed it, and I think you're holding it still in your portfolio, right, Hugo? And
Correct, Jesse.
I had wholesaled it for a wholesale fee of 20,000. So that was my very first deal, and that was just got me running out of the gates. It took a while to build a rapport, but you think about that, along everything else that's happening in the background. You're just a couple of phone calls away from next big deal, and since then, it's I don't know if it's just karma or if it's really more just not giving up and throwing in the towel, just moving forward, continuing the same progress, the same pace, same consistency. And I have come across several deals since then. We've already picked up. I have 9 doors that I'm renting right now, and 3 currently that I am rehabbing. And all of that wouldn't have been, and it's basically it's all been done within a year. just a little over a year, I think it was, because when I wholesaled that deal to you, Hugo, it was back in January of 2020.
Right.
So yeah, since then we built a pretty good rental portfolio. We're still going, and the only trouble we're having right now is finding enough and the right rehabbers to rehab our projects. So good problem to have. But we found these properties through DealVault. As a matter of fact, these are all off-market properties, um, and we are. It was no competition, so it's just a matter of getting a hold of the homeowner and building the rapport and sending an offer. And with no competition, that's key. You know, you eliminate a lot of the overbidding and so on. And um, our approach is always using the 75% method, all-in method. We want to make sure that we're reviewing the property, take all the rehab costs into effect, all the carrying cost, and then backing that out. Where does that leave us with a maximum offer that we're able to present? And we start from there. We go from there. If we need to digging into a little bit of the equity spread, then we go ahead and increase our offer. But usually that's not the case. And with those offers being made, we've been, knock on wood, lucky and moving forward. So right now we have 2-3 projects in the works, and we run into a couple of blips here and there, but nothing that we can't resolve. We just keep on moving forward, and we should hopefully have the first flip listed within the next 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, we're hoping. And in this hot market right now, we're hoping for the best.
That's awesome. So, Jesse, can you tell us about the flip that you're working on currently? How you got it on the contract, the price, the rehab, and how much you think you're gonna sell it for?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, my son here is Damien. He's my son. He actually just walked in. We're partners in this deal, actually in all deals, and he's the front head of the operations with the acquisitions, the data and analytics part of it, and in the acquisitions, and I'm come back with the financing part. So we obtained this property in February, was it? Right around February. It was purchased for $118,000, and we are putting in about $45,000 of work into it. We had estimated about 40 or 45,000, and the ARV is about, what is it? About 260-ish, we're saying. So from 118 plus 45, we're listing it for 260. We're going to make a handsome profit off of that.
That's amazing. Now, was this an off-market property? Was it probate, pre-foreclosure, feasible? What was the lead type?
This one was actually a driving for dollars one. Yeah, this was we saw mail piled up and sent out a letter, and the homeowner replied, and we made contact, and took a little while, but as everything else, it's just consistency wins the race, and the homeowner was ready to sell. He called us. He says, situation was he wasn't ready to sell in the beginning. And we just kept following up with him. It took maybe about 2 to 3 months. Finally, gave us a call back since he's had our number and his speed dial. We were harassing him, for lack of a better word. And yeah, he says, I'm ready to go. I want to go to Tennessee, and I don't want to waste any more time. And I want to list my property. I'm headed out of town. And he was happy with our offer, and the rest is history.
Where is the location? What township is
This
this
one's
in?
in Berwyn.
Okay, that's a hot
Yeah, this
market.
is in Berwyn. I know Berwyn and Cicero, everybody's kind of skeptic about going into these properties, and because of the towns and the
Yeah.
inspectors, and they say that they're tough. But it can be tough anywhere. It can be tough in any town. And what I always say is just follow the rules. Basically, is what it is. Get your FOIA up front before you close on the deal. Of course, make sure that you're able to handle what the town is requesting you to handle, and play nice. You get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. If you're going to fight the town, guess what? You're going to lose. The town's always going to win no matter what. So play nice, play by their rules, and they'll actually, take off. They'll shake your hand once in a while. So it's not too difficult.
So walk us through your thinking process on this property. You got it on the contract 118th. The rehab is 45. First of all, how did you come up with the 118 offer price? What was your rationale? What was your formula that you used based on the
Well,
ARV that you gave us
well, we're
and the
always approaching the homeowners by asking for what they're looking for the property, what their price is. We're always trying to get a price off of the homeowner. Rarely do we ever try to, throw out an offer to them and wing it at that point, because you don't know what they're thinking. Listen to what their problems are. If they have any issues, try to solve those problems. So he had came back when we were asking him. He replied saying that he wanted to request, how much was it? 130. 130, which is what he was asking for. So we did our due diligence, got the FOIA out, and according to some of the items that the town wanted us to do, we also asked them if could have some contractors come in and give us some bids on the work that we needed to do. And once we received the bids on the work, we worked those numbers in, and we came back to the homeowner and presented that to him. We were very transparent and told him, listen, the rehab's going to cost this and this and this and X and so on. And because of that, we're at our 118 offer. We kind of reverse engineer it. So even though they throw out an offer, we usually don't tend to accept it right away unless it's just an unbelievable offer. Go throw the line out into the water. Lower your offer and give a good explanation, good justification why you're doing that. And you never know. Initially, he said he would never accept that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and Damien's here. He's listening. He's sitting down right beside me. He says, yeah, and it's true. Initially, at 118, we threw out 118 to him, and he said he would never accept that offer. That was way, way too low from his 130. But we just continued being transparent with him, giving him the cost estimate of the rehab, and telling them, of course, we're cash buyers, which is a very strong position that you hold as an investor. And he liked that with no strings attached. We said, yeah, we can go ahead and close at his time, and help him out. Another thing, since he didn't have an attorney or a title company to work with, we actually referred someone over to him, and we offered to pay his closing costs for him, his title closing costs, which he really liked, which came out to about $2,000. So it truly came out to 120, which is what it was, because it was an offer of 118. We paid his title cost $2,000, and it was he accepted our offer, and we went forward. So as long as you're providing solutions and knowing how strong of a buyer you are, and we also told him that he wasn't going to face any delays. We would handle all the title work. He didn't, and that's part of it. He didn't want to deal with any realtors, any time frame, any issues with contractors, or letting people in the in his house on his schedule. So we set up a lockbox on the property, and with a liability waiver that we signed together. He accepted our offer, and we made it easy for him, which was the thing. So it was too good for him to pass up. of course, with the lower offer, but he saw the benefit in the convenience and working for us with us, and we went forward with that.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, tell us about your thinking process between holding the property as a rental and doing a flip. Why did you decide to do a flip?
Well, that's a good question because we were going back and forth about those two options, renting it and or flipping it. And initially, because of our low offer, that was the reason why the rental thought process was the reason, part of the reason why we wanted to give. I'm sorry, we wanted to give a low offer to try to get into the numbers of renting it, be within those figures. With the rental, monthly rental and that property would have probably came in at around 1,700. So I'm always trying to reverse engineer it with a back end refinance, rate and term refinance in the residential market right now because I haven't reached my 10 market level yet. To take advantage of these low rates, I says, okay, with PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, what would my payment be versus the rent? And I always want to stay within the 75% bracket because then the banks will qualify us with that. Anything above that, you run a risk of not qualifying for a refinance. And I never want to put my my funder, my initial acquisition funder, my private lender, or my commercial lender at risk of not being able to pay that loan back. So the numbers were tight there with the rehab costs and the acquisition costs and the carrying costs. The 75% was tough. I probably could have made it work, but given this wonderful flip market and the prices that are happening right now, we said, you know what? There's a big margin in flipping it, and it's actually our first rehab that we're going to flip. And since we are starting out and building up our rental portfolio, we're looking to build our reserves also. So this flip will help us pad our reserves for for refinancing all the other properties that we're looking to hold in our portfolio. So that was the methodology behind flipping this one.
Okay, so you were saying what was going to be the principal, interest, tax, and insurance versus the monthly rental income? Meaning, I want to get to your monthly cash flow.
Yeah, it would have came up to about a little over 1,400 is what we had came up with.
Okay, 1,400, and the rent was going to be somewhere in the 1,650, 1,700.
About 1,700, which is what we were thinking. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, and on a 30-year term with an interest rate of probably about 3.75, let's say, with taxes and insurance. Yeah, the payment was coming out to about roughly a little over 1,400, if memory serves me right. This was back in February. With the $1,700 rate, let's see here. Oh, my calculator just gave up.
You would cash flow maybe 250 or so.
Let's see. Hold on 1 second. Let me run these numbers because it was 118 plus 45 plus I give room for closing costs. I just want to make sure I've got these down right. 170, let's say. This was principal, 30 years at 3.75. Payment, 863. And then we have 65 for insurance and about, hold on 1 second. The taxes on that was 5,000. So plus 416. 1344 is what my mortgage payment would have came out to. So a little less than 1,400.
Okay. So the cash flow was going to be somewhere in the 350.
Right. So to be at 75%, backing that out from my PITI, my rent needed to be at about 1800. So I know I would be able to comfortably get 1700, between 16 to 1700. 1800 would have been pushing it. Um, in this particular area in Berwyn, because it's in the north end of Berwyn, and it's a single family ranch, it would have probably been possible, but it would have been a little risky. And then so I would have been above my 75% debt ratio there, which would have made it a little tricky for me to do the back end refinance if I go above the 75% ratio. Coupled along with um, knowing that we wanted to build our reserves for other investments that were coming down the pipeline, um, it was a decision at the moment that we made in deciding to flip it instead of hold it.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Now, what we're going to do is, I mean, you talked about so many important points, right? That all make sense. But you're a seasoned advanced investor. So I perfectly understood where you were coming from, what your decision was. But what we're going to do is we're going to dissect everything that you said so
Mm-hmm.
that people understand, right? So we're going to take you to basics.
Yep.
So, first of all, what we're going to do is when you're looking at a property, you need to understand three numbers: ARV, rehab, and given those numbers, the most you can offer to the property. But even before you get into the property analysis, you need to understand the area, the neighborhood, Berwyn, right? Because we have flipping markets, we have rental markets. So the first question is, what does Berwyn support? Does Berwyn support flips or rentals, right? So let me answer that question for you in 30 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to show you the way we do it, and everyone should do the same thing. So I'm logging into ChicagoDealVault. I'm going to go into area reports, and in here I'm going to look up Berwyn, right? So I type in Berwyn, and right here, so Berwyn tells me that it's I would say it's a B minus, in the border of B plus neighborhood, and it supports cash flow, so rentals. But I want to understand if it also supports flips. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the report. I'm going to look for one metric that all of you need to understand. When doing flips, you need to understand months of housing supply. Okay, so what does that mean? First of all, I'm going to show you what that is right here. Months of housing supply for a single family home, it's 2.2. So what does that mean, right? So a top flipping market means that properties are going to sell super fast in less than 2.5 months. So here it's 2.2. That means that market time, if you put a property in Berwyn, is going to sell in less than 2.5 months. Okay, so this means that Berwyn is a great flipping market. What it means is that there's not enough inventory for the supply, so properties are going to fly off the shelf. So when I look at the market months of housing supply of less than 2.5 months, thumbs up for a flip, right? So right off the bat, Berwyn supports both flips and rentals. Something that you have to be aware of with Berwyn is that the village is very strict. Okay, so as Jesse said, you have to pull permits. You have to do things by code when it comes to plumbing, electric, HVAC, windows, roof. They're going to ask you for permits. You're going to have inspections if you're touching rough plumbing, rough electric as well. Before you pass the building inspection. Okay, so that's what the village is famous for. It's tough. It's not easy. The same as Cicero.
Right.
Okay, so first milestone done. This market supports flips. So the only thing that you need to worry about is months of housing supply. How quickly you're going to be able to sell the property. The next step is, should I flip or rent, right? That was Jesse's question. and we have created a framework to give you an answer in 10 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what the framework is. So first of all, I'm going to share my screen with a calculator just to run over the numbers that Jesse came up with. Okay, so when doing a flip, you're going to take the ARV, which is 260, and you're going to multiply this by 70%. Now, why 70%? 20% should be your return on investment on the flip, at least 20% of the ARV. So if you sell it for 260, you need to make at least 20% return. 20% of 260 is $52,000. Okay, so he needs to net at least $50,000 for this to make sense, especially because the rehab is medium. It's not light. If you're spending 45,000 in rehab, it's medium. That means that you're touching bathrooms, you're touching kitchen,
Yeah.
flooring, paint, light fixtures, perhaps some light plumbing, light electric, perhaps some roof repairs, maybe some window repairs. So you're doing a lot of work, right? This
Yeah.
is going to take you a month and a half, 2 months at least to rehab the property. Once all the inspections are completed, plus the rehab, you're in for at least 2 to 3 months, depending on your crew. How long is this going to take you for the rehab, Jesse?
Well, that was another learning curve, being that this is our first bigger rehab that we've done. All the others basically have been just touch ups, more cosmetic. So this was truly our first deeper rehab. So we estimated about 40, 45. This was in February. We were interviewing a couple of contractors and trying to get the best bid out there. We started, I'll be very transparent, we started slow out of the gate. There were a couple of issues with some subcontractors that came in. It delayed a little further. And this was the beginning of March, right? We're in May now. And we're coming around the corner of wrapping this up now. We're hoping we can get everything completed by the end of May, the end of this month, so we can list it. But we ran into a couple of hiccups here and there along the way with a couple of oops from some subcontractors where we had to go back and make some corrections of there. So our 45,000 repair estimate went actually over. So we're over budget on that by about 5,000, maybe just a tad over. So it's going to be 50 or 50 in the low 50s. So one very important thing of that initially when making the offer, I of course wanted to make sure that we had enough margin in it and always account for somewhat of a 3% error or oops spread in there for you in cases like this, because I wasn't sure whether it was going to go as planned, and things when you're dealing with rehabbing properties, things normally don't go as planned, right? So we did go a little over budget, but we're still within a good margin. So it really truly started in March. So we're March, April, May. So 3 months worth of rehab. And this truly shouldn't have taken this long. But we're building our contacts of our rehabbers. And we're filtering out the bad ones. I'm sorry, the subcontractors. We're filtering out the bad ones versus the good ones. So we're developing a crew with this particular project. And it's a good learning curve, good learning lesson. We did have enough margin in there to be able to make those kind of risks, although we never want to lose. Nobody ever wants to lose any money on that. But
Right.
it was unfortunately it had happened, and we're hoping that we're at the home stretch now, and at the end of the next couple of weeks, we believe we should have it finalized. We're at the stage of, we just had our kitchen cabinets installed today. Painting and trim is going to finish with the final plumbing, all the fixtures getting put in, and then the inspections go from there. So not too far off. So yeah, unfortunately, it was a long drawn out 3 months with this project.
Okay. That makes sense. Perfect. So let's go back to the formula. So it's we multiply the ARV times 70%. 20% is going to be his net profit on the flip. 10% is going to be his carrying cost. So that means the cost of money, so the interest he's paying on the loan, taxes, insurance, utilities. That's the carrying cost. That is why we multiply these times 70%, 20% the net profit on the flip, 10% carrying cost or holding expenses, minus the rehab. So the rehab is going to end up being not 45, but 50. So I'm going to multiply minus 50. So 132. He ended up paying 120. So he's got enough room, right? So the question is, what's going to be his net profit? It's going to be 20% of 260, which is 52,000 plus 12,000. So he's going to make 64,000 on this flip. Okay. So let's write this down, 64,000. Now I'm going to give you the formula, the secret, the framework to decide whether you should flip or rent in 10 seconds. Okay. So Jesse is going to make 62,000 net on the flip, assuming that he sells the property for 260. Okay. So now how much is he gonna make if he holds the property? So this is the formula. We're gonna take his positive cash flow. So this property is gonna rent for, you said 1,600.
Pushing it, I would be able to do 1,700.
Okay, let's be conservative. 1,650
Yeah.
minus 1,350 for the principal, interest, tax, and insurance. Okay, because the
Hmm.
tenants are gonna pay all the utilities, gas, electric, water. Okay, and landscape, snow removal, so you don't have to pay any utilities or maintenance on the property. So his positive cash flow per month is gonna be 300. So this is the formula, guys. Make sure you write these down. You're going to take the positive cash flow per month. You're going to multiply these times 12. So the yearly cash flow is going to be 3,600, and you're going to multiply these times 10 years. Okay, so it's going to be 36,000. Okay, so now you decide which one is higher. Will my net profit 62,000 be greater than the positive cash flow in the next 10 years? Which one is greater, 62,000 or 36,000? Obviously 62,000. So this makes it a perfect flip opportunity, because the net profit on the flip is going to by far exceed by almost twice as much the positive cash flow in the next years, in the next 10 years, if Jesse was to hold the property. So this is a no-brainer for a flip. On top of that, Berwyn supports flips like all day long. It's one of the top flipping markets because the months of housing supply is 2.2. So he's going to be able to sell this property in about 2 months or less in this hot market. Okay. So he's going to be all in and out in about 6 to 7 months. From the time he purchased the property, 3 months for rehab, 2 months for market time, 2 to 3 months. So all in 6 to 7 months, he's going to make about $62,000. So in other words, about 8,000 net profit per month. So this is a home run deal for you, Jesse. I mean, congratulations.
Thank you.
Um, Now, the question is, why should you do flips? Jesse, answer the question, okay? Because you want to build reserves, okay? You want to capitalize yourself, because having reserves is going to allow you to do more buy and hold or maybe other flips, right? So it's a great idea to have reserves, because guess what? Cash is king, right? When you want to do deals, you're going to need reserves. Whether you use a private money lender or a hard money lender, you've got to have at least 3 to 6 months of reserves. Okay.
Mhm.
So this makes it a great flip, starting by the area supporting the flips, and two, the numbers, right? He bought it for such a great price that even if his rehab goes over budget, it doesn't matter. He's got enough meat in the bone uh, to make a profit. Okay, so this is a great deal. And as Jesse said, right, this is also a great learning experience for him. And building relationships with his crew. He's building a construction crew right now to do more buy and holds. So this is the framework that you need to use. Again, super simple. Understand, what does the market support, flips or rentals or both? Bergwin supports flips. Months of housing supply, less than 2.5 months. That's awesome. And two, do the flip versus rent framework. Take the cash flow per month for the next year times 10 years. If that is greater than your net profit, then you should buy and hold the property. If not, you should flip it, like in this case. Jesse's Bergwin property is a perfect candidate for a flip, especially right now. Flippers have made the most amount of money due to the shortage of inventory.
Yeah,
So
as a
no,
matter of fact, our realtor, we already have a realtor ready to list this one when it's ready to go, and he had told us, yeah, we can list it for 250 or 260, but he says, guys, he goes, please don't be surprised if it sells above listing price, because that's what the market is doing right now. That's what it's calling for, and it's just a ridiculous selling market right now. So we definitely, we're taking advantage of this particular current stage and this wave with this particular property. So yeah, it's a perfect opportunity to flip in this particular market with this property. So we're taking advantage of that.
that's awesome. Absolutely. So right now is the time to do flips and micro flips. So micro flips is when you get a property on the contract that needs very little work, right? So that you can turn it around and put it back on the MLS ASAP. So this is the best time to do these type of transactions. So somebody's asking for the formula. So this is the formula. Again, I'm going to repeat this. Take your positive monthly cash flow times 12, meaning the yearly positive cash flow, times 10 years. If that amount is less than your net profit from the flip, then you should flip. Else, you should buy and hold the property. Now, another question is, do you recommend to stay away from towns that require rental inspections and rather flip them? No, 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 no. Even if it's a tough townhome, you always need to look at the area. What does the area support? And also the property itself. Does it make, I mean, are you buying the property at the right price, right? Dealing with the village, every village is different, right? So you just need to work with them. Make sure you don't take shortcuts. You've got to pull permits for everything, for the dumpster, plumbing, electric, HVAC, windows, roof, fences. Make sure that you comply, because you want the village to be on your side. If you try to cut corners, they're going to put a stop order, they're going to take you to court, they're going to fine you, they're going to make your life miserable. So you always have to comply with the city and do things per code. Okay, super, super important. And that is to your benefit as well, because when it comes to flipping the property, a retail buyer is going to bring a professional home inspector. So they're going to be able to identify issues, right? And then it's going to come back to you, and then you're going to need to give them credit, right? So super important. Are you getting licensed contractors, Jesse? Are you pulling permits? Everything is
Yeah, for the electrical and the plumbing, those are mandatory licensed contractors that we needed, and we did obtain those. For all the other items, they did not require a contractor. There were no windows that we were replacing because all the windows were new, but there was part of the property, half of the property was already gutted because the homeowner actually was in the middle of rehabbing this property himself when he threw in the towel and decided to just walk away from it. So the inspector, when they came in, they had already seen that. They had already seen the rough, the guts of the property. So they did not require us to get a permit for, the drywalling and any of the small fixtures, but the electrical, the rough plumbing, the HVAC, and that's pretty much about it. The permits did not take very long to get, and it was in during February. Pandemic was still going, and to our surprise, it took probably about a little over a week, maybe 2 weeks tops, to get the permits, and as well as get the FOIA and the inspections going. There was really not that long of a delay with them, which was pretty surprising.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. And then, so I want to share quickly this slide for everyone just to have a very clear understanding of what it takes and the benefits and pros of doing flips. Okay, so just very quickly. So what are the pros of flipping? You're in and out a lot quicker. You're selling the property, so you don't need to refinance on the back end. As Jesse was mentioning, right? He doesn't need to refinance because he's not holding the property. He's just going to sell it and pay off the outstanding short-term loan that he's getting for the property. And then the cons is that, what are the cons of flipping? Okay, uh, you're going to need to pay taxes on the net proceeds from your gain. Okay, if you are new, like Jesse said, it's just my first flip, or I'm just trying to build reserves. You're gonna run into issues, and this is normal, right? So he's learning some lessons. He have gone over budget, and just by a little bit, not much. So I think, considering being probably his biggest rehab, he's done amazing. Okay, going over 5,000 is nothing. High investment cost, of course. As you saw, he needs 55,000 just for the rehab. Okay, so when doing flips, you do need to have some reserves. Obviously, flips are riskier than buy and hold. The reason why is because you've got to get three numbers down, like to the penny. ARV, um, the other one is the rehab, and the third one is the offer price that you make on the property. Okay, that is why it's a little bit riskier versus buy and hold. If you buy a property and you overpay for the property, but you're gonna hold it for 15, 20, 30 years, it doesn't really matter. You're gonna recoup that. Okay. Uh, Flips, obviously, as you heard from Jesse, more hassles, and the rehab, it has to be of a higher quality than the rehab for a rental, right? Because you want to command top dollars for this particular flip. Okay. Now, another big drawback of flipping is that you are not building net worth. Okay. So if you stop doing flips, guess what happens to your net income? It goes down to zero. So you always have to be finding deals, rehabbing, and selling them for the right amount. So you're not having passive income, which you would get when you buy rentals. So real estate is a long-term investment, and you become wealthy by owning rental properties, okay, in the long term. So it's nothing short term, okay? You're not going to become rich overnight. So it's long-term investment. But again, it's important to combine strategies, buy and hold, flips, especially in this hot market where there's such a shortage of inventory, right? So running into a great off-market property where you have to do very little rehabbing, or maybe medium rehabbing, it's just perfect for flipping, because buyers are paying crazy money. Why? Shortage of inventory, low interest rates, all the stimulus, right? People were able to save some money. So it's just a great strategy to incorporate right now during the pandemic. So congratulations, Jesse. You've done amazing on this particular transaction with the numbers that you shared with us, the rehab, and then 3 months for a $50,000 rehab being your biggest rehab. Uh, it's nothing like out of the ordinary. So congratulations, Jesse. Keep up the great work. Um, Thank you for sharing your numbers, your strategy, your thinking process.
Yes, of course, and thank you for providing all the necessary tools and with your experience and your knowledge. One of the main reasons why I keep on coming back onto these webinars that the group holds is because there's always one little nugget of information that I would pick up. I don't consider myself a seasoned investor, right? Things have been going okay right now, but it's always going to be a learning process. And coming back to these webinars and meeting, colleagues and members and networking is very important. So that's the main reason why I keep on coming back. And thank you, Hugo, for providing this type of platform for us to be able to do that, because it also has allowed me to acquire the funding for the acquisitions and the rehabs and so on. So very important. Thank you, Hugo, for providing this.
No, thank you, Jesse. I mean, you've been amazing as an investor and obviously as a friend. Um, so, are there any other questions for Jesse?
Hi, Josie. My name is Valerie. Hi, Hugo.
Hi, Valerie.
Jesse,
Welcome.
Bye, Val.
I'm just curious, maybe Hugo or you, I'm missing out how you got your profit, your final profit number for 62K. Could you just review that for me, please?
Yeah, of course. So let me pull up the calculator right here. So the ARV, let's assume that he sells it for 260, and then he needs to make at least 20% return. So 20% of 260 is going to be 52,000, right? So now I'm gonna give you his total expenses. Okay, so it's gonna be 260 times 70%. 20% is his net profit. 10% is gonna be his holding expense, taxes, insurance, utilities, permits, and so forth, minus his rehab. Okay, his rehab came up to be 50,000, 132, but he paid 120. So he's got 12,000 on top of the 52. That's how we came up with the 64,000 net profit on this flip. If he sells the property for 260,000.
Okay, I wasn't getting that. You took out of your 30%, 70%, that the 20% profit that's where you took a 260 times 20%.
Exactly.
And since he underpaid by 12K, then you just added that on.
Exactly. So he's
Thank
going to be
you.
making 60,000 easily on this if he sells it for 260. But considering when it's a hot market, he will have no problem selling this property for even perhaps above asking price in this market.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck, Jesse. This is a great experience and a great learning experience for us on the call as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And since then, we had acquired two other properties. Another one which we're rehabbing. Also, we're just starting the first phase of rehabbing, and the third one, which we're actually, it's a light rehab, but we're keeping this one for rent. The rental numbers are a little better. The location is phenomenal. All three are still in Berwyn. And it's right across the street from a hospital by Metro train station. So just the location is just wonderful there. And my son even said that he's thinking he's thinking of buying it for himself, living in it for himself. But I said, no, son. We need to build our rental portfolio and go from there. But yeah, of course, Valerie, thank you. I'm a true believer in giving back and sharing my experience and my hiccups along the way, because if I can help somebody else as others have helped me along the way, I think it's just it's a reciprocal effect, and it's so satisfying being in this business. I feel blessed, being in this business, and of course being involved with my son in this venture. It's just a little dream come true that I'm living here, and I love sharing that with everyone here on this platform, and everyone in the mastery classes, and everyone else everywhere else. So I'm happy to share. Thank you.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. And you know, as Jesse shared the story, right, of the wholesale property, three flat in Westchester that he wholesaled to us. You know, I was telling Frida, you know, I had mixed feelings, right, because you know, I show people, teach people how to use DealVault, right. So Jesse and his son, you know, were able to really understand how to get these properties off market on the contract. So I was telling Frida, you know, I have mixed feelings, right? Because obviously Jesse is paying the membership for ChicagoDealVault, and then he goes out, gets a property on the contract. You know, he pays DealVault about, I don't know, 140 a month, and then he turns around and in about a month's time, boom, we end up paying him 20,000 for this building. But as he
Mhm.
said, it was a win-win for everyone. I mean, the seller got out of the foreclosure process. Jesse made a nice assignment fee, and we got an amazing home run deal. Obviously, as he said, it was a lot of work. It was 170,000 rehab. It's been the
Mhm.
largest rehab we've ever done. Everything from top to bottom was pretty much redone, and it took us 6 months to do the rehab. Okay, but it cash flows. It's worth over 500,000. So it was a great deal for everyone. So thank you, Jesse.
Of course, of course. Thank you. It was one that actually I wanted to keep. I know the numbers would work phenomenally there, and it's not too far from where I'm at. Beautiful bones on that
Yeah,
building, but like you mentioned, it was a big rehab that I
yeah,
knew I couldn't handle at that time, and if I did dive into it, I probably would have been out of the business before I even started. So I wanted to just go in and cash out, and you know what, work on the next one. So. I
absolutely.
we made the right move. Win-win-win situation in
That
this
was
case.
that's my advice. You know, I advise investors to stay away from gut rehabs. It's just too risky. So Jesse mentioned something very important, networking. Okay, so that reminds me. Please make sure that you reserve your spot. We're running an all-day event. This is our first all-day event. It's going to be a conference. So what I'm going to give you is the A through Z blueprint on building a rental empire. So we're going to give you all the secrets, the shortcuts, the formulas, everything that we use. We're going to share our resources. We're going to do a speed networking event. We're going to have lunch. It's going to be an incredible event. It's going to be live, and we're also going to live stream the event. Okay, it's going to be in Oak Brook, end of this month. It's going to be Sunday, May 30th, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So it's going to be really, really amazing. We're going to bring the wholesale inner circle group, the cash flow inner circle group. We're going to bring great resources. So please make sure that you reserve your spot. We only have, I believe, 42 seats left. The total capacity is 100 people. Okay, so make sure that you reserve your spot. It's 39. That's going to help us cover all the expenses um, for the event. So I'm so much looking forward to seeing you all in person if possible. If not, we're going to live stream the event. It's going to be one of our most important events that you cannot afford to miss. Okay, I'm just telling you, you cannot afford to miss this event. Even if you see it virtually, it's going to be amazing. Okay, so I can't wait for that. I mentioned we have two groups, the cash flow and the wholesale group. So we created two groups, the wholesale inner circle group and the cash flow inner circle group. So if you're interested in doing wholesales or buy and hold, then I highly recommend that you join one of these groups. So it's going to be super, super powerful. So come to the conference. We're going to talk about more these groups, whether you want to do wholesales, buy and holds, or flips. Um, we do weekly calls, deal reviews. It's pretty amazing. You're placed in a team with a team lead, so it's super, super amazing. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for your participation. Thank you, Jesse, for sharing your great deal that you're working on, and the best of luck for this one and the upcoming deals that you have in your pipeline.
Thank you, Hugo, and good luck to everyone. I definitely encourage stick with it. Network. reach out whenever you have any questions or doubts. It's possible to do this alone, although it'll take it longer. I was one avid believer that I think I know it all, or I can learn it all, and sure I can do it without a team. I could probably go it will happen at a slower pace and not to the capacity where I would want to reach. And up until the point I realized that's when I started forming my team and reaching out and opening my arms and embracing everyone. That's when I started seeing things really take off. And things were just progressing a lot quicker. It's I just celebrated my 50th birthday last weekend, and it's something that I know I have to go faster than a lot of other youngins out there on. I wish I would have done this method a long time ago. I would have been in a different position, but like I said, it's never too late. Just keep on pushing and reach out for help and assistance whenever you guys get stuck.
Thank you, Jesse. Awesome advice. I greatly appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. If you need a call back from me, please send me your cell phone, and then I'll be happy to call you tonight. Okay? Any questions, anything that's holding you back from being more successful, please send me your cell phone, and then I'll call you. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to remain on the line for the next minute or so in case anybody has any questions. But if not, if you need a personal call, send your cell phone, and then I'll call you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jesse. Great work. Kudos to you. Keep up the great work. The conference is going to be held at Oakbrook DoubleTree in right here. I'm going to share the location. So that's the DoubleTree Oakbrook. JB, yes, I'm available. What's your question?
Is he muted?
I believe, JB, somehow my mic is not working, but my question is about cabinets. Okay, what's your question, JB? Oh, the question is, did you get a special deal with Studio 41 for purchasing cabinets through them? Yes, JB, absolutely. So we can, I believe we might have it in ChicagoDealVault on their, let me just confirm who the contact person is. So do me a favor, send us an email to support, JB, and then we'll send you the store and the contact person from Studio 41, okay? So that you can get the best pricing. Oh, right here. We have it right here. Studio 41, right here. That's our contact person. So we have it in ChicagoDealVault, JB. I gave you just the contact information. Okay, it's under cabinets. What is the 39 to join what group? Oh, Peter, 39 is to join the conference right here. And also happens to be the same price to join the cash flow inner circle or the wholesale inner circle group. So it's $39 a month. And the membership for DealVault is $140 per month, JB. So if you can say, if you send me your information, JB, we can call you tonight. Send me your cell phone, and then we can help you. Yeah, you're gonna have access to everything: cash buyers, off-market leads like pre-foreclosures, probates, upcoming auctions, vacant properties, um, a lot of information, market analysis, reports, MLS access, cash buyers, over 300 preferred partners, you name it. Okay, so I'll make sure we call you shortly. Okay, Art is asking the difference between Chicago DealVault and ILFLS. In fact, we're partners with ILFLS. We share data between ILFLS and us. Plus, we have cash buyers, preferred partners. We have private money lenders, over 6,000. We also have area reports. We have access to the MLS. So we have a lot more information in Chicago DealVault. So it's a big difference, okay? We have vacant properties. ILFLS only has pre-foreclosures, upcoming auctions. We have that, plus probates. So it's got a lot more information. But we work closely with ILFLS. Do you have access to write contracts? Absolutely. From Chicago DealVault, Jackie, you can make an offer like in seconds. If it's an MLS property, I can make an offer in seconds. If it's off market, you can also make an offer within seconds. So I can see the MLS transaction and check this out. I click on make offer, and I put in the purchase price, when I want to close, earnest money, boom, submit offer, and it's going to generate the 7.0 contract in seconds, already pre-filled for you. We do the same for off-market properties. So yeah, it takes seconds. And mailing as well, absolutely. So in DealVault, I can do mailers for, let's say, pre-foreclosures. So once I do my filtering, this section is the mailing campaign section. So you can just preview the letter, and then with a click of a button, let's say I select my leads, right? So I'm gonna do the first 20. I click on print your own letters and labels, and in seconds, boom, we're gonna generate the letters. So right here, we do the mail merge for you, creating not only the letters, but also the labels. So right here, it's already pre-merged with your contact information, even your signature, your logo, everything. Okay, so we do the mailing campaign for you. So it's pretty amazing, Jackie. Send us your email, your cell phone number, Jackie, and then we're gonna call you tonight. What's your cell phone, Jackie? Perfect. We're gonna call you shortly.